Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Marketing 101 for chiropractors. I'm Dr. Enrico Dolcecore, and this week is more of a PSA for all my colleagues out there. Burnout is real, and we need to be aware of that in any business and any entrepreneurship. Burnout is real. Burnout is something that affects all of us at some point. You guys have experienced this at some point. If you're in startup mode or just graduated, you're not there yet. But being aware of it, being prepared for it, I think is wise. It is wise. Now that I get to coach some of you and been doing this for a few years, it's a redundant theme that comes up. Why you're not doing this? Why do you feel like the systems and procedures are not there anymore? Why haven't you hired the help that you needed and delegated what you needed to do? Hey, doc, I'm just tired. I'm just burnt out. I'm tired. Some of you have taken breaks from chiropractic. You've actually quit and done something else for a little bit and maybe come back to it. It's enlightening as a coach to hear all this. And as I sit back, sometimes being a coach is almost therapeutic because you're like, man, okay, these people are dealing with this as well. I dealt with that. I remember that. I remember being there. I'm like, I'm in it right now. Wow. So this is a PSA for you to lean back um, and just be proud of what you've done. I think we forget that we're not proud of what we've done because we look through social media and we compare ourselves to the other chiropractors that are doing things that may look better on social media. But you got to remember, they may not have as strong as a family relationship as you do. They may not have as strong community bond as you do. They may not be as enlightened as you are. They may not even be as smart as you are. So remember that when we're doing social media, it's the same thing we teach our kids on social media for healthy mental health, right? It's the same thing for you as well. Burnout is real, guys. This job is tough. I mean, you're wearing all the hats at the beginning. Then you start getting a little bit of help. Then you got to micromanage the help, and then the drama and the stress and the patients and the cases and the billing and the finances and the leases and the inflation it's a lot, and it's not going to end. So I wanted to do a video about burnout and just maybe show you some of the things. I did some research on it, which was pretty cool. I was like, okay, I've never really researched burnout. I've researched mental health and psychology and these things before, but I like this one synopsis of burnout, putting it into 5 stages, and the way that they defined it was really cool. Stage one was like the honeymoon phase. It's the startup phase. You're committed to the job. You have a compulsion to prove yourself. You have sustained energy levels. Things are free flowing. You're creative. You're high. You think you're high productive levels, right? Until you learn that you're doing too much. Remember, productivity versus activity. And at the very beginning in startup, when you're out of the gates, it's all productive and active. You're being super active, trying to be productive, and then you learn you're doing a lot of things that you don't need to do. Why? Then that's hence why having a coach early on or a mentor that you work alongside with, or even have calls weekly with, can really help you stay on track so that you're more productive rather than just active. So we all remember that, the honeymoon phase, right? It's usually just after graduation. For some of you, it lasted 3 years. For me, it lasted 3 weeks. And then you're into stage two, the onset of stress. This is where stress begins. You start getting the symptoms. The ability to focus decreases. You're getting a little bit more irritable, a lot more anxious. And those things lead to the health things that we know as chiropractors. When you get anxious and irritable and stressed, then you got all the other things: change of sleep, headaches. You start neglecting your personal needs because now you're overworking in the office. How many of you remember that? Yeah, hands up for that, right? Stage three, chronic stress. Now I sound like a chiropractor talking on my other podcast about health and wellness, right? If we let chronic stress take over, now we get persistent tiredness, we get procrastination, we get resentfulness. And I think this is where this podcast was all started. And my idea to do it this week was resentfulness. Some of you are so resentful, not for being chiropractors, but for being where you are in life, and you think you need to be further along, or you feel like you haven't met your goals. You guys are so productive. You are so amazing. This entire group, everyone that ends up reaching out to me, I look you up, or maybe I talk to you on the phone once or twice, and you guys are amazing. You guys are all amazing. You stick to it. You've done some cool things. Maybe you took a break for a little bit. You returned. You've been continuously a chiropractor, just constantly building. You've all started to build, whether you're 2 years in practice or 22 years in practice or 42 years in practice, you've built an empire and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. It doesn't feel that way because burnout is real, folks. Burnout is real. And you just need to step back and realize that you're probably feeling burnt out right now. And when we feel burnt out, we don't get the gratefulness. We don't get we don't give thanks. We don't sit in our success. We think we're unsuccessful. And that's stage 3. That's the chronic stress phase. You get the withdrawal. You stop doing the things socially. You stop going to the gym, or you go less, and then you go to other things. Yeah, you start scrolling social media more, you start wasting your time more, you start doing other things more, you start coasting. And at that point, that's where you start searching for coaches and the new magic shiny machine that you got to bring into practice and the new strategy. Then you deviate and you do other things. You get away from chiropractic, which chiropractic is a huge scope. I don't know why we have to get away from it. We get away from it and you make some money at the beginning. Everyone does. They talk about this whole new shiny thing that they did. And the average person makes more money for about 6 months. Then it just tanks off the edge of the cliff because now you've paid back the lease payments in the machine or whatever it is, the shiny thing that you bought. And now you're not putting energy into it because you spent most of your life putting energy into being a chiropractor or being in that healthcare service provider that specializes in that one thing. And you get away from it. And that too creates burnout because now you have another thing on your plate in the office. Then you feel bad that this thing's sitting there collecting dust after a year, right? Sound familiar? You probably all have that machine sitting in the corner doing that thing, right? Stage 4, burnout, where we actually get through the burnout. We get obsessed with the problems. We get the chronic symptoms. We have a pessimistic outlook. We have self-doubt. We socially isolate. We have behavioral challenges. By this point, you brought this all home. Probably by stage 2, you're bringing this stuff home. And then stage 5 is just the chronic. You can fall into a habitual burnout, which is a health concern at the end where you just give up. You're fully depressed. You have sadness. So the point of all this is that there's a cascade, there's a lineage, there's a ladder to this. The earlier you catch this stuff, the more you can mitigate it. That's the whole point of this. And at the end of the day, the longer you coach, the longer you have somebody with you, the less you have that burnout, the more optimism you get, and you get that path lit up for you. That's my analogy for coaching is that, this is just a big path. It's a journey. And when you hire someone as a coach or anyone, and I'm a coach, so I'm speaking from a coach's term here, is you, as a coach, you turn on the light ahead of the path for you. And I'm going to see the stuff just as fast as you see it. The roadblock, the tree down on the pathway, the grizzly bear up there, whatever's coming around the corner, we're going to see this together. It's just that instead of you panicking in the moment and saying, what am I going to do? There's 2 brains on it at that moment. And we're like, well, we should probably do this. What do you think? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And we deviate, we get out of danger, and we go down the other route as a team. That's where and it really does help everyone. The feedback I get as a coach is like, man, I just am a lot more calmer when I have somebody. And I know that I've been coaching for years. I'm going over 10 years of coaches. And my current coaches I've been with for over 5. It's because they just shine that light on the path for you down there, and just they make a decision with you, knowing where you're at in the moment, so that the decision is quite conscious and quite parallel to what you actually need in that moment. So burnout is real, guys. I know you're burnt out, and I don't know what it is that this time post, we're 3 years post COVID. We're shell shocked. We're PTSD. The inflation's unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe we're living like this right now. I don't want to pay for things anymore, but you have to. You need eggs, right? We're in it. I see it. Your patients are seeing it. You're feeling the squeezes. This stuff creates more stress, but you've been doing this for so long that you're so good at it. Just be proud of what you built. I think I'm going to close with that. I'm going to be like, be proud with what you built. If you need help, reach out. I've been doing this for so long, and my wife told me to, you got to create something. You got to do something, a program, a coach, something, because you can't keep doing this for free, because it was burning me out. It was burning me out in the evening, setting up Facebook ads in the background. You know who you are out there. I love you guys. You guys are all my classmates, and I was helping you out with that for free at first, and I charged a small fee, and then now we got this whole coaching thing. And again, see, I got to sit back and be like, look what I created. Look what I've got now. I got to be proud of it. But if I look at myself and compare myself to Tony Robbins and his coaching program, I'm going to be pretty depressed, right? Or I'm not, because I understand where I am, and I may never be Tony Robbins. It doesn't matter. That's not the goal. So stop looking at Tony Robbins' feed unless you're trying to get material from him to help you with your life. Then that's great. But same thing with podcasting. Am I going to be Joe Rogan? Probably not. Probably not, right? That's okay, because that's not my purpose. Maybe that's not your purpose. And just remember that you're here for your community. Some of you are here for your families. You're trying to do the best thing you can for your family. It's more of a personal thing. Some of you are philanthropic, a little bit more like me, where you are trying to make the community a better place. It's a mission. You do a lot of stuff in the community. You're reaching out. That can create burnout as well. But remember, when you're doing this type of stuff, when you're doing Patient Appreciation Day, you're doing patient dinners, you're doing workshops, you're doing all this stuff, you're doing it, and no one really else is. No one in your community is doing this stuff. And if they are, they're in completely different industries. Understanding that community outreach is important as well. But I mean, is it as powerful as chiropractic? I'm a little biased. I don't know if the esthetician is bringing as much as a chiropractor is to their community when it comes to health and wellness, but they're doing it too. And some of you don't do any of this stuff, and you're more family-based. You're more of a homebody, and that's okay too. That's your purpose. You need to understand that to avoid burnout. Be grateful. You've built an empire. I know that's a big word, empire, legacy. You have. Everything you've done in your life to this point, you've built something. Be proud of it. Be grateful. Be thankful. And have a fantastic week. If you need anything, reach out. Take care.